guys, it's Mrs. Sorensen. I am here to read you more of Ranger in Time, Escape from the Great Earthquake. Chapter 3, Shaking Stairs and Falling Bricks. Ranger stepped carefully through the kitchen. Pots and pans and bricks littered the floor. Broken plates, bowls, and teacups spilled from a toppled cupboard. The girl wasn't here. Ranger had practiced finding people in the rubble of a torn-down building, but never one that was shaking all around him. He made his way through the mess to the staircase. Shards of shattered glass danced down the rattling stairs. Step by step, Ranger climbed until he reached the top. The trembling finally stopped, but a big piece of furniture blocked Ranger's way. He climbed up on it with his front paws. There! The girl knelt in the middle of the hall. She was hunched over, crying into her gently cupped hands. Ranger barked. The girl looked up, her eyes wide with surprise. Ranger made his way over the falling cupboard to her side. Tears streaked down her cheeks. I left him here, she whispered, and held up her hands. A limp little goldfish, all covered in dust, rested in her palms. Gum was all right after the first quake. I was so thankful for the good fortune, but then I left him. Ranger didn't understand what the girl was saying, but he understood sadness. Ranger remembered when Sadie's hermit crab had died last summer. The whole family had gone to the garden to bury it near the roses. Sadie had cried and cried. Ranger had stayed close to her, licking her hand once in a while to remind her he was there. Ranger sat down beside the girl with the dusty fish. He nuzzled her shoulder with his nose. She laid the fish gently in the puddle on the floor and wrapped her arms around Ranger's neck. Something creaked and thudded above them. Plaster rained down from the ceiling. Ranger's skin prickled. The trembling might have stopped, but the house was not safe. Ranger barked. He nudged the girl until she stood up. Then he leaned against her and pushed her towards the stairs. She hesitated, looking back at the little fish. Ranger barked again, and she seemed to wake from her daze. She scrambled over the cabinet and started down the steps with Ranger at her side. The house groaned, and a huge timber crashed through the ceiling into the hallway behind them. A cloud of dust blasted down the stairway. Lily stumbled down the last few steps and fell onto her knees at the bottom of the stairs. Ranger nudged her way to her feet. He felt her shaky hands on his collar as he led her through the kitchen and back outside. There you are, called an older woman in a large black dress. Thank you, Lord, you are safe. Lily nodded. Her insides were too churned up to let her speak. She stared at the tilted, battered buildings all up and down the hill. People streamed into the street. Some crawled out of their broken windows onto the sidewalk. Many were still barefoot, in nightcloths. Others had put on all their best outfits in layers, from their Sunday shoes to their Easter hats. Cats raced like shadows into the alleys. Dogs crouched low with their tails drawn in, scooting over the ground in a panic. The whole city swarmed like an anthill someone had stirred up with a stick. A parade of frazzled neighbors had already started up the hill. Families filled the streets, carrying bundles of clothes and food over their shoulders. Some trotted along with heavy baskets. Others pulled trunks with thick ropes over the cobblestone. You must stay together as we walk to the church, Lomo said as she lined the girls up. Lily found the bundle of clothes and food she dropped in the street when she ran back inside. She looked up at the house. Poor Gum. She hadn't even been able to give him a proper goodbye. Come on, Lomo said quickly. Lily picked up her bundle and fell into line. Rangers stayed at her side, and they began the long march up the Sacramento Street hill. The girls walked quietly, lugging the few things that they had time to grab. Some of the younger children were crying. Hush now, Lily whispered as they walked, but with every step, the lump in her throat grew bigger and bigger. She tried to be brave and cheerful for the little ones. It will be all right, you'll see. Lily looked down at the shaggy dog trotting beside her. It hadn't left her side since it found her in the crumbling hallway upstairs. Maybe the golden dog was Gum Gum's spirit looking after her now. Or maybe it was just a neighborhood stray scared like all the rest. And what was the strange box it wore around its neck? Lily squinted at the faded lettering on the metal. It was a first aid kit. Someone must have given it to the dog to carry as they fled. Lily looked around, but she couldn't see an owner. Wherever the dog had come from, Lily was very thankful. The feeling of its warm, solid body under her trembling hand was the only thing that kept her moving through the torn-up streets. Chapter 4. Into the Smoke. The streets teemed with people pushing baby carriages and wagons and wheelbarrows, all piled with their things. Lily passed a man pushing an entire sofa heaped with his belongings. He mounted roller skates on the sofa's legs so it would roll. His face was red and sweaty as he huffed and puffed his way up the steep hill. For once, Lily was thankful that she had only a few possessions to her name. Others who had come on the steamer to America had extra clothing and gifts from their loved ones. But Lily had arrived for the month-long journey with only a small basket. It held her bedding, shoes, and a few biscuits. At night, she slept on a canvas bunk in the ship's hot, stuffy hold. She spent her days searching the seas for spouting whales and practicing the stories she would tell immigration officials when she arrived. America had a strict law banning most Chinese immigrants. Lily's family had sent her with the phony papers that said she was the child of a merchant, so she was allowed to come. But that was a lie. Her parents actually sold her as a servant. They simply didn't have enough money to feed Lily and her younger brothers, so they sent her off, hoping she might find a better life across the sea. When the ship docked in San Francisco, officers searched Lily and loaded her onto a cart with the others, paper daughters, who had come ashore. As the cart rolled through the streets, people began throwing litter at the wagon. They shouted at the newly arriving children to go home. Lily wished she could have. Instead, she moved into the house of a wealthy Chinatown merchant who beat her when she didn't work quickly enough. Lily stayed there for 4 years until the night Lomo came crashing through the door with the police and brought Lily to the mission house. Lily lived there with Lomo and the other girls and women now. Lomo taught the girls to cook, sew, and clean, all the skills that would train them to be good wives. But Lomo wasn't interested in Lily's real dream, going to school so she could become a doctor one day. Lily knew that wasn't likely. A Chinese woman might become a teacher, but not a doctor. Still, Lily couldn't stop thinking about the possibilities. She'd heard Lomo talking about Elizabeth Blackwell with the church women once. Elizabeth had been the first woman to receive a medical degree in America, and now there were schools for other women too. Lily had asked Lomo about them. Lomo shushed her and handed her a broom. Lily sighed and wiped the sweat from her brow. Her dreams seemed further away than ever. When the city crumbling to pieces around her, Ranger walked beside Lily as the girls trudged up the hill. He was glad the earth had stopped shaking, but the sidewalks were heaped with bricks and splintered wood. He was crossing a buckled street when his paw came down on a shard of broken glass. Ranger yelped. "What is it, dog?" Lily looked down. "Are you tired? It's a steep hill." Ranger tried to keep going. He knew Lily should stay with her group, but with every step, the glass poked deeper into his poor paw. Ranger whimpered, and Lily looked down again. "You're limping. Let me see." Lily stopped and knelt beside Ranger. She lifted his paw. "You poor thing. Here." She used the tips of her fingernails to ease the glass from Ranger's paw. "It's out now," Lily said, "but it might still be hard for you to walk. I'll carry you." Lily lifted the first aid kit from around Ranger's neck. She knelt down, united her bundle of bedding and clothes, and tucked Ranger's first aid kit inside. Then she stood ready to catch up to the others, but Lomo and the girls were gone. Lily couldn't spot anyone she knew in the crowd surging up the hill. "It's all right, we'll find them. We won't be on our own for long," Lily said the words out loud, trying to convince herself. Lomo had told Lily the cruel merchant would try to steal her back if she ever left the house alone. Lily's heart raced. As she started up the hill again, a frantic, frightened voice rose out of the crowd. "Father, father!" Lily searched the crowd and gasped. "May?" she shouted and held her hand high so the other girl could see. May Wang was the daughter of the Chinese grocer. When Lily had been a servant, she'd rarely left the house, but one time she'd been sent to the Wang's market for vegetables when her master was ill. She'd met May that day and watched for her out the window ever since. Lily was very envious of May, who passed by in the morning with her arms full of school books. May was one of the few girls who went to the Chinese primary school. Her parents believed that girls should be educated as well as boys, so May went along with her little brother Lee. But today May was alone. She ran to Lily. "Father left with Mother to try and find a cart because she can't walk through this mess with her bound feet. He told us to meet them at the Vaness, but my brother ran back into the shop for water and..." May swallowed hard and took a gasping breath. "The roof collapsed. I called for little brother, but he didn't answer. I have to find Father." Lily stood up tall and looked over the pulsing crowds. Even if May's father were close by, they'd never find him in this mob. He couldn't help, but Lily could. She left Gum Gum behind, but that wouldn't happen again. It couldn't happen, not to May's little brother. "I'll go back with you," Lily said, grabbing May's hand. "We'll find him. Come on." They turned and hurried back down the block. Ranger hesitated. The air was thick with dust, smoke, and fear. That wasn't where the other girls from the house had gone. It didn't feel safe, but Ranger felt an unmistakable tug. With Lily was where he needed to be, so he bounded off after her down the hill. And that's all for today.